Good morning, everyone. Thank you for joining us today. We have a few more minutes before we will get started. And Nikki, that's such a great question. What time breaks will be today? We are going to be finishing up a section before lunch, and I anticipate that will be close to noon. But we just need to get through one section before lunch, so around 12. Well, I have 9:30 on my computer, so I think it's time for us to get started. And just a big welcome to everyone. Thank you for joining us today. Allie, if you'd like to go to the next slide, I will introduce the program specialist that will be talking with you during today's training. Your presenters are myself. My name is Shawn Vondracek. We have Erica Arter with us, Allie Lampman, who is also running our Zoom today, and we have Jenna Hillegas that will be joining us. So thank you so much. And let's move to the next slide. Let's cover some basic housekeeping for today. Use the chat box to ask your questions. We will not be answering these during the presentation. We will be answering questions before lunch and at the end of the presentation. There will be an hour break for lunch, and that, as I said, could be at 12. It may be a little earlier than that, so anywhere from 11:30 to 12. You will be muted during the presentation, but unmuted during the question and answer time. So we're going to move to the next slide. The slide deck and handout packet were emailed to you, and they are also posted on the Nutrition Services website under training. If you have those available, I would suggest that you have your handout packet so that we can look at those handouts as we go through the presentation. And on the first page of your handout packet, you will find a training certification. So please, what you need to do for that training certification, if you need to complete hours for professional standards, is to put your last name, first name. If you are a member of the SNA, the School Nutrition Association, You can put your identification number. The location would be via Zoom. The CEUs earned today are 5.5 and today's date. So let's get an idea of who's in our audience today. So we want to ask a polling question. Are you new to your responsibilities of the school meals bookkeeping aspects of the program? So Allie, would you launch the poll? Yes, I have not received training prior to today, so I'm hoping today will be very beneficial for you. Yes, but I was trained by the previous school meals bookkeeper, so you've had some experience. No, I've been doing this for a long time and I just joined for a refresher. And no, I've been doing this for 1 to 3 years. So please go ahead and mark the description that best fits you. Press the submit button and we will see who is in our audience today. Wow. Yes, I have not received training prior to today, 48% of our audience. I am so glad you are joining us today. I hope it will be very beneficial for you. And then we have 19% that have had some training from the previous school meals bookkeeper. 10%, we've got our loyal following that joins us for training. So you've been doing it a long time and just need that refresher. And then we also have 22% that have been doing it for 1 to 3 years, but are joining us today also to get a refresher. So thank you so much for completing our poll. And that certainly gives us a better idea of who's in our audience. So let's move to the next slide. On the next slide, I want you to click on the Google Sheet and enter your name, your title, your school name, your school phone number, and the town. We would like to know who is in our audience. That I know you registered for training, but we also want to know if you attended training. So please take a few minutes to do that now. If you click on the Google Sheet, or maybe we have to put it in the chat box.
Yeah, Erica or Jenna, could one of you put it in the chat box for me? Thank you. I forgot to open it.
Yeah, that's okay. I will, Allie.
Thank you. We'll put the link in the chat box, and then when you get a moment, you click on the link, and then it will take you to the Google Sheet to enter your information. So.
Perfect. Thank you so much. And so let's move to the next slide and talk about some of the different topics we are going to be discussing today. I know it seems like a long list. There's 13 different topics. Some of them we're going to talk about briefly, some of them more in depth, but they're all important topics that we want to touch upon at today's training. So I'm not going to go through each one of those to give you the heads up. We're just going to move through our list. And then as we move through our list, if you have any questions about any of the topics, then please put your question in the chat box and we will address those. So let's move to the next slide. Nutrition Services administers the following child nutrition programs. The National School Lunch Program. It was established in 1946 and it allows school food authorities to provide nutritious lunches to students during the school year. We have the after-school snack service or program, and it allows sponsors to provide snacks to children after the regular school day ends. We have the school breakfast program, and you can see the acronym behind the name. The school breakfast program is often referred to as SBP, and we use a lot of acronyms in the nutrition programs. In your handout packet after the certificate, we've included a glossary of key terms and definitions used for the school nutrition program. So sometimes we speak in acronyms which may not be familiar to you. And so there is a reference that you can refer to. So we've compiled that, and it's several pages long. And you do not have to memorize any of these. And if we ever talk about an acronym that you're not familiar with, please just ask. You know, what's second nature to us is not always second nature to someone that doesn't work in the program all the time. So we have the special milk program for children. The special milk program is for children that do not have access to breakfast or lunch. So it is just a milk program that's available for children that do not have access to meal service. The Child and Adult Care Food Program, often referred to as the CACFP program, and that is just like the name applies. That is for centers and daycare homes, as well as the at-risk after-school meals, which is part of that program. And the at-risk after-school meals would be like after-school snack and at-risk dinner meals. And that is operated under a different program than the school meals program. We also have the summer food service program that provides free meals to children during the summer for certain locations that qualify to provide those meals. And then we have our fresh fruit and vegetable program, which allows eligible elementary schools to serve fresh fruits and vegetables to students during the school day. So these are all programs that are child nutrition programs that are operated under our office. So how does it work? How does our school receive reimbursement for the meals that we serve to students? Well, as a school food authority, and I'm going to throw another acronym at you, and this is one that's used very frequently, it's SFAs. So when we are referring to our districts that participate in the program, we are using the terminology of SFAs. And it is not only school districts, it's residential care facilities, it's juvenile justice facilities, it's private schools. So it's an all-encompassing term for any sponsor that participates in our program. So school food authorities must adhere to the rules and regulations of the school meals program to receive federal dollars. The school meals program is a federal program, and in order to receive those dollars, there are rules and regulations. So USDA provides these federal dollars in the form of reimbursement for meals that are served in schools. The Nebraska Department of Education Nutrition Services, our office, distributes these dollars to our SFAs. So moving to the next slide. As I indicated, our SFAs are required to meet the federal regulations associated with the school meals program to receive these funds. The nutrition services staff conduct what is called administrative reviews, ARs, another acronym, and procurement reviews, which is referred to as PRs, to ensure compliance with the rules and regulations, to ensure that schools are following the rules and regulations. So we are on a 5-year cycle that was extended because of COVID. We were not in schools for 2 years due to COVID. So our review cycle has been extended, and our SFAs will be notified in the fall if they will be reviewed in school year 24-25. We typically do anywhere from about 70 to 80 reviews per year. So you will be notified in the fall if you will be receiving one of these, the administrative and procurement review this upcoming school year. Now, we've also included in your handout packet a checklist. And it doesn't matter if you're having a review or not. You need to be following all of the regulations. And so we've included what's called a compliance review checklist for you that goes through the main areas to ensure compliance with the rules and regs. So that is included in your handout packet. It is a self-checklist. And as a new bookkeeper at your school, it's a tool for you to use to ensure that you are making sure that things get done and that you're doing the correct thing. So that's been included. It's rather long. The program, as I said, has a lot of rules and regulations, and we just, our job, nutrition services, is to ensure that you understand the rules and regulations and what you need to be doing to ensure compliance. And so any tool that we can provide you to help you, we want to provide. And so as you look through this handout, we're going to be covering a lot of the items on here. Some of these are also food service responsibilities, and we have upcoming training for our food service folks in July. So let's move on to the next slide, getting started. We have 2 different websites we're going to be talking about this morning. We have the Nutrition Services website, where all of our forms, resources, information about the programs can be found. And then we also have our child nutrition program, often referred to as the C&P online system. And that is where you will find the annual application to participate in the program, as well as the location of where claims are submitted for reimbursement. And so we will be starting with the Nutrition Services website. Next slide. In your handout packet, after the terminology and terms handout, we have what the Nutrition Services website looks like. And at the top of the screen, you can find that by going to that web address, and you will want to add it to your favorites. And as we look at the screen, we can find that we have our nutrition services home, and right underneath nutrition services home, we have the school meals program. And when we click on that, we can see our staff directory. And so those are the folks that work in nutrition services, not only in the school meals program, but also in the CACFP program, the Child and Adult Care Food Program. We have also, we have financial services contact information, and we have contact information for the USDA commodities. That's operated out of a different department that's operated out of Health and Human Services at the state. And we have the contact information for those folks as well. We also have a contact information for health inspections. And so these are the folks that can help you. As you can see over on the left-hand side, we have the folks that work in nutrition services under the school lunch program, and then also the summer food service program. We are all program specialists that can assist you with any of your questions. Katie Parch is our director, and she is listed. You will be receiving communications from Katie throughout the school year, updating you on things that need to happen, as well as any communications that need to be distributed to schools. So that's the main page, and keep that directory handy so that you have our contact information. And then on the next slide, we want to talk about some important dates that you need to be aware of. And these can be found underneath the school meals program. It is the first bullet underneath. And we've also included it in your handout packet. This is another tool that we provide to keep you on track of what needs to happen by certain dates in each month. And so let's go ahead and go to the next slide. Another area of our website I want to point out that's very important is our forms and resources. So under forms and resources, you are going to find a wealth of information. The page is divided into 3 sections. The first section is administration, record keeping, and finance. And so as a bookkeeper, this is the section you will be dealing the most with. So as we look across to the right, we can see we have applications, income eligibility, which we will be talking about just a little bit later in this in our presentation. We're going to be talking about the process of verification. All of our attachments are available. They have been updated for school year 24-25. And then any topic that you need to know, you will be able to find additional information under the bullets under administration, record keeping, and finance. Later on, if you scroll down on the page, you will find another section which is titled Food Service and Nutrition. So that is the section for our food service directors as well as our bookkeepers, where you'll find information about meal pattern requirements, production records, which are required to be kept, information about food safety, professional standards. All of these terms are things that are required. And in the checklist that was provided, we address each one of those topics. And then at the bottom of the page, you will find the link to the regulation and policy from USDA regarding implementation of the rules and regs. So just keep in mind, forms and resources is a very important section you need to be familiar with. This is where you're going to find all of your letter templates for applications for verification, as well as additional information about topics that are on your compliance checklist. Let's move to the next slide. That was a very brief introduction to the Nutrition Services website. And for the sake of time, we can't navigate throughout the website, but I would encourage you to do that on your own. And if you have questions or need additional assistance, then go back to your directory and contact one of the program specialists listed for the school lunch program, and we will certainly help you navigate the website for any form or resource that you need. The next website I want to talk about is the Child Nutrition Program, referred to as CNP, the online system. And this website can be assessed from the Nutrition Services website. This site is where you will find the application package for participation in the program and the claim for reimbursement. So let's go to the next slide. How do we get there? It is a web-based application and claim system, and you can, as I said, access it through the Nutrition Services website, and it would be listed on the left-hand side, Child Nutrition Program. You click on that, and then you would click on the online application claim system. And this is also a handout in your packet, so you don't have to remember all of this. You can also not enter through the Nutrition Services homepage and bookmark the link that's on your handout. And let's go ahead and go to the next slide. So if you're not entering through the Nutrition Services homepage, bookmark this link, and you will go directly into the CNP logon page. And it's also included in your handout. To access this website, you need a user ID and password. And so with that being said, new authorized representatives, and an authorized representative is the person that is ultimately responsible for the program. Typically, that's a principal in a private school, and in a public school, typically that is the superintendent. It's that person that is ultimately responsible for the operations of the program. They may not be the one doing the day-to-day work, but they are ultimately responsible. So if you have a new authorized representative at your district, they are required to complete the authorized representative responsible individual profile. That will give them a new user ID and password to gain entry into the system. And I know we have always a lot of changeover in superintendents from one school year to the next. So this is a form that you will want to get completed by your new superintendent, principal, whoever your school district has designated as the person ultimately responsible for the operations of the program. you will want to get this form completed as soon as possible. And we have the form as a handout in your packet, and you can also access the form online under Forms and Resources, under Online Claim and Reimbursement. We have the Nutrition Services Computer Access Application and Agreement. It has the red arrow by it. And when you click on that, it will take you to the form. But as I said, we've also included it in your handout packet. The form requires signatures, and it needs to be completed and submitted back to Nutrition Services. And the address to submit the form is in red on the form. So let's go to the next slide. And this is just a brief introduction of the CMP system. After you log on, oh, I want to go back to slide 19. Want to go back to slide 19. As I mentioned earlier, the authorized representative has administrator rights for their school in the CMP system. And we need to ensure that our bookkeepers and those individuals that have a responsibility to be in the system are assigned user rights. We do not want you to use your authorized representative's ID and password to access the system, because we need integrity in the program, and we need to know who is in the system with their own password, and so they need to be assigned user rights. And there is a CMP Security Administrator Manual on the login page, which provides instructions for adding new users, modifying users, user access, and for inactivating user profiles for staff who no longer need to use the CMP system. And this is just to ensure program integrity. Only those that need to be currently using the system need to have access. So there is the manual as well as some handout sheets in your packet that indicate updating existing users. So it's a step-by-step process that's included, and then adding new users. So as a new bookkeeper, you would be a new user that needs to be added by your administrator or authorized representative. So it's the same information in the administrative manual, but we have made it a little bit more user-friendly by creating handouts that walk you through each step. So once again, please do not be using the previous bookkeeper's credentials. Or if you have a new authorized representative, complete the computer access form for a new user ID and password. So let's move on to slide 20. So that's all done. We now have a new user ID and password. We are an authorized user of the CMP system. And when we go into the system, this is what the initial screen looks like. And for those programs that your SFA participates in, you may have different colored boxes. For this example, this SFA participates in the school nutrition programs, as well as the summer food service program. And if they would be participating in the child and adult care food program, the green icon would be available for them to access. And we have included in your handout packet a guide for you in completing the school meals application for school year 24-25. It's an annual application that has to be completed. And let's just go to the next slide and talk about what's important. And this is all included in your handout, but I wanted to talk you through some of the screens that you will see. As we can see, once we've clicked on the school nutrition programs, then we have gained entry into another page. And on the blue bar, the darker blue bar, we can see what's available to us. We have applications, we have claims, we have compliance, which would be for schools that have administrative reviews, as well as if you've had previous administrative reviews, they are under compliance. As we look on to the right, we can see that colorful box with the different squares. We can navigate between different programs by clicking on that. So we can move from the school nutrition program to the summer food service program, to the child and adult care food program by clicking that. And then we can navigate our years. So if I click on year, I can navigate not only to this last school year, 23-24, but I can go back to 22-23. It's my history of applications and claims. So it allows me to look at prior years. So when you complete the application for school year 24-25, which has not yet opened because we are waiting on reimbursement rates to be released from USDA. They are typically released at the end of June, and any day we should be receiving those. I anticipate probably tomorrow or Monday that we will be receiving notification that the reimbursement rates for school year 24-25 have been released. And we want that information to provide you some guidance on setting your adult meal prices. And that is information that's collected in the application. So we're on hold until USDA has released that information. But when you complete your application, you will want to ensure that you're in school year 24-25. And as we go to the next screen, after we have clicked on applications, then we also have a menu of different items that drops down. And we are looking at the application packet. So we will be looking at that as soon as we possible. The application packet is due to be completed and submitted to our office by August 15th. As program specialists, we're assigned applications to review and approve. And so we have some deadlines that are in your important dates. And one of those important deadlines is completing your application packet by August 15th. Now, if you are a residential childcare facility, if you are a juvenile justice facility that operates year-round, then you will want to get your application packet completed by July 15th so that we can get it approved so that you can submit your claim for July and August. So just a heads up on that. If you operate year-round, you have a different deadline for completing your application. Underneath application packet, we can see verification report, food safety inspections, financial report, information about the fresh fruit and vegetable program. So there's a variety of different items that need to be completed dependent upon what type of SFA and what programs you're operating. But our attention today is on your application packet, getting your application packet completed for the upcoming school year. So on the next slide, once you click on application packet for school year 24-25, another page will open. And I'm just assuring you, you have completing the application guide in your handout packet. So it will guide you through each of these steps. We're just talking about them briefly today, just to give you an idea of what needs to happen in completing your application packet. You will complete not only a sponsor application, which gives information about the sponsor at the sponsor level, and then you will also complete a site application or site applications, depending upon how many sites that you feed children at. So if you are a district that has a high school, a middle school, and an elementary, you will be completing 3 different site applications. If you are a sponsor that has 1 site, you will be completing 1 site application. I want to make sure that you are under the first bullet, site applications, and not the seamless summer option. That was an option that was available during operations when COVID was happening. We no longer utilize the seamless summer option. So please make sure that you are in the right area, and that would be completing the site application. And so we also have in a green box a checklist summary. Now, a checklist summary will populate if you need to submit forms to Nutrition Services, and you will upload those forms in your checklist summary. So for example, if you are a school that receives meals from another school, you will upload your meal agreement in the checklist summary. If you are a district that has a food service management company that operates your food service program, it will ask you to upload your contract. So those are some examples of what will populate in the checklist summary that you're required to upload to our office. It's part of the application packet. Any additional items that need to be uploaded can be uploaded in the attachment list. I've already mentioned, do not complete the seamless summer option application. You will get a green check mark by each one of the sponsor application, the checklist summary. Once those have been submitted, okay, and it's a process of ensuring that you follow the instructions on each one of the pages for like the sponsor application. You want to make sure that you save and you finish. And if it asks you to mark a box in the application, make sure you're marking the box. Read the application carefully. And then you will get a submit for approval button, which becomes red and activated when all required portions of the application are completed. You will click that button, okay, and then your application is submitted to the program specialist assigned to approve your application. As I've already mentioned, the deadline for completing your application packet is August 15th. If you are a program or a sponsor that operates year-round, your deadline is July 15th. Your program specialist will be in contact with you. If there's any areas of your application that need revision, and there is also a return button. So the application packet can be returned to you for correction. So let's go to the next slide, number 24. And on the sponsor application, we have 3 contacts listed. And as I mentioned, the authorized representative. We also have the food service director. That is the person that is in charge of the food service program. And we have the claim contact. And the claim contact is typically the bookkeeper, but not always. Sometimes those jobs are divided. But these are the 3 contacts that our emails that are sent from our office go to. And so it's very important that we have correct email addresses. So please double check your email addresses when you complete the application. Update as needed. If you have a new food service director, you're new, make sure your email address is correct. And then also, if you are new, make sure you mark the box that says check box if new. So we have a lot of new bookkeepers out there. And so we want to have that information on the application. If you have a new food service director, make sure you are marking that. That's important to us because we can generate a report, and from that report, we can provide additional support, more one-on-one for you as you navigate the operations of the school meals program. So important information. Make sure that your phone numbers are correct. If there's an extension that we can reach you directly, indicate that. So very important page. As I said, this is where the emails are gathered for contacts from our office. And so if someone leaves, that information needs to be updated as well. We don't want to be sending emails to old addresses. We want to make sure it gets to the person that it needs to get to. So that is why we send our emails to all 3 contact individuals. Now, some of those emails may not apply to everyone, but we want to be able to send them to our 3 contacts. And I would encourage you, if your district has the same person listed for all 3 contacts, that not be the case moving forward, because we've had districts, we've had SFA sponsors where someone leaves, and if they're all 3 contacts, then they do not receive communication from our office, and that is not a good situation. So ensure that you have 3 different contacts so that we have 3 different ways of getting a hold of your district with important information. Let's move to the next slide. In the sponsor application, you will see that we have the unique entity number, the UEI number is required. And It is required to be within the most current year. So the date the registration was completed or renewed needs to be during the time of the upcoming school year. So the example that I have on the screen, we can see the date is 6/25/2023. That is the date that it was renewed. So that date is now expired. And we cannot approve your application with an expired renewal date. So I know as a new bookkeeper, that may be something you're not familiar with. And so I would be finding out how and when that was renewed and by who. And so you have the most current date of renewal. We cannot help you with the unique entity number. That has to be something that you do outside of nutrition services. It's for any sponsor that is receiving federal dollars. We have to report that information, and we report it by your unique entity number. And so it's very important that we have the most current information. It's a renewal. Once you're assigned a unique entity number, then that number stays with you unless something changes in your district, and it has to be renewed annually. So a notice is sent by SAMS.gov 3 months prior to the expiration date to the email address associated with the registration of that unique entity number. So someone at your school has been getting notifications that they need to update or renew their UEI number. So I just wanted to mention that we cannot approve your application with an expired renewal date. And it's the renewal date that we're looking for. So let's go to the next slide. And here, let me catch up on the handout packet. And make sure that we are on. I wish we would have numbered our handout packets, and I apologize for that, but we are on the handout packet where a page that describes the food safety inspection and financial report. So on the screen, underneath the applications, okay, we have that drop down, and 2 other items need to be completed. And for all sponsors, SFAs, you need to report the number of health inspections per site that happened in school year 23-24. And you're reporting last year's information in the 24-25 application. So you're not going to change years. You're just reporting what happened for health inspections in your SFA for the previous year. And this is a required report that's submitted to USDA. And you're going to be reporting by how many health inspections were conducted at each feeding site. So that information probably is most readily available from your food service director. And this is not due at the time you complete your application, but I encourage you to complete it so that you don't forget and get it done, because you're already in the application packet. And it's information that has to be submitted, and it's just a good time to do it. The next report that needs to be completed is only for our non-public schools and residential care facilities. If you're a public school, you do not complete the financial report. That is taken from the annual report that's submitted to the Department of Education, the AFR. So you do not. It's only for our non-public and residential facilities have to complete the financial report. And that is due by July 31st. And it's information about income and expenses to the program. So if you are a non-public or residential, make sure that you get that completed. You are reporting on last year's information. And our school year runs July 1st through June 30th. And so that information will soon be available as we are approaching the end of the month. We're reporting for last school year income and expenses. So 2 other important reports that need to be completed.